Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, once again here to Virtual Racing Network. We've had 4 days off, but we are back here once again bringing you some great racing action. We still have our pink logo in there for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We forgot that was in there after this extended vacation time, so we'll go ahead and celebrate it here one more night for the Racecore before we take it out of there. Of course, you're tuning in for the Racecore Iracing Drivers World Racing Series here at Pocono Raceway. Should be a good race. We'll go over all the race details in just a second. Before we get to the racing details, though, we want to give a big shout out to all of the sponsors here for tonight's race. Of course, Dan Butler Designs, Global Building Contractors, Leo's Coney Island out of Rochester Hills, and the presenting sponsor here for tonight's race, of course, Iracing Drivers World. And here on the broadcast side of things, a big shout out to Walls Beard Co. Beard Balm, SimSpeedShop.com, Northwest Racing Series, Ohio IndyCar League, and iBog. Check them out at the respectable websites and Facebook pages and let them know you heard about it here on Virtual Racing Network. That being said, we have about 3 minutes, about a minute till we get to the national anthem. So before we get to that, we want to quickly go over tonight's racing details. Of course, coming tonight, we have 60 laps here at Pocono Raceway, 150 miles. It is going to be a long way around this track, so should be some good racing. We do have some fuel windows that we will be going over here shortly, but again, 60 laps, 150 miles are on the books for tonight's race. We have about 3 minutes left to go. We won't have time for a driver interview here tonight, but we'll definitely be talking to some drivers throughout the race here during cautions and stuff like that. So definitely thanks for tuning in, and apparently we are having some connection issues and it's back there, so no harm done. Excuse me. They're just getting out of a driver's meeting, so we'll see how all goes. And it looks like Jeff Stabnow may be having some connection issues here himself. But we want to welcome everybody to chat. We see we got Jason Covington in chat, Mike Neal in chat. We got Colton Swartz in chat. So welcome everybody once again here. Glad you came back after the long break. We are just about ready to get things going. So we're going to go ahead and step away here for just a minute. Go silent on the mic. And when we come back, we will be ready for qualifying coming up here in just a few moments.
We take you down onto the track for our opening ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Please remove your hats.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Qualifying is underway. We'll go ahead and pull your driver bar up. It is Mikey Neal. That is going to be your first driver, and that is the wrong bar. We do apologize. There we go. We'll get the driver bar pulled up instead of your stats bar. But before we report in laps, as they're technically not being reported in yet anyway, we do want to, of course, introduce our second chair here for tonight's race. Also back from a little bit of a vacation, as we did not have very many races this past week because of the holidays of Halloween and all that going on. Again, we don't try to give him an introduction. There is no introduction for him. But that is the one and only Jeff Stabnow, who's getting loaded in now. So, Jeff, welcome back to the booth after a bit of a break.
Hey, Charles, always glad to be back here. You know, I did get a little bit of time off, busy week, so I was able to use it. I think we got a little work in with the World Cup team, and, you know, in my league we got road courses this week, so we got a little extra work in there. So, may have been a week off, but I was still doing plenty of racing, so hopefully I kept those skills sharp.
Well, I would imagine you probably did, at least sharper than mine anyway. And, of course, you got a lot of racing coming up this week with some road courses mixed in here, so I'm sure you'll be heading off there shortly. But we get you here for a little bit, as long as we can anyway. But 60 laps at Pocono could be very interesting. You know, to say the least. This track is hated by probably half this field and loved by the other half. You really have a strong feelings for this track, whether it's one or the other.
Yeah, it's a tough track, and you know, it's a big track. So on the one hand, you just kind of expect it with these big long straightaways to be easy to drive. And the truth is, the longer the straightaways, the better you have to get off of those corners. You know, a couple miles an hour entering the straightaway, if you're just a little bit slower, it equates to a lot of distance and time coming down those long straights. So, you know, a big long track with only like 3 major corners in it, and one of them, corner number 2, is kind of pretty easy. It's a high-speed corner. It feels like it should be a good track, but it's kind of a little sneaky tough on you there, and you know, it's not your typical intermediate mile and a half or super speedway type track where all the corners are heist corners. So, yeah, it's yeah, feels a little bit like a short track, runs like a big track. So, yeah, there's people that going to be on both sides of the fence there.
Yeah, and this one, of course, being a track that you'll see on the wall here very quickly. It'd be hard to read, but it says turn 4, what turn 4, or something like that. There is no technical turn 4. There's only 3 turns here. So it's a very odd-shaped track to start with, to add to just how tough this track is.
Well, yeah, they call it the tricky triangle. You've got 3 distinct corners. You've got corners that were borrowed from other tracks. So, you know, you've got, and man, I kind of really wasn't prepared to do this. I'm kind of a last minute joining in here. So normally I've got this information, but I think you've got a corner here from Indianapolis there in turn 2. It's like those 90-degree corners in Indianapolis. Turn 3 is, you know, that flat. I'm trying to remember what track that was. Maybe it was Milwaukee Mile or one of those. I'm trying to remember. But, you know, it's this flat, no banking, pretty low-speed corner. And then turn 1 is just the complete opposite. It's kind of a higher bank corner where you carry a lot of speed in there, but it's a little bit sharper, and you've got a brake. And in some cars, you've actually got a downshift getting into that corner. Some you don't. Depends on how they're set up. Not sure how these guys are, if they're shifting or not. But so, yeah, you've got just 3 different corners that require 3 very different driving styles. And each one of those followed up by a super long straightaway that absolutely will make you pay big time for any mistake.
Yeah, it definitely will. And we're answering the question. Forgot we had caps lock on here from working on overlays. But Mike wanting to know where he can find you racing, of course, Northwest. On Monday and Wednesday night, we also cover those, of course, here on VRN. So we'll be racing this week. Should be a interesting race. It is the road course coming up. I believe that's both nights, correct?
Yeah, and if you want to watch me race and don't want to laugh at me, I'm going to say the road course, those aren't my strong suits. Not much of a road course guy, but I'll give it heck. I'm no Mikey when it comes to road courses. I'll put it to you that way.
I'm going to hold back from this subject. We'll just leave it at that. As I like to keep Jeff in the booth as much as I can, so we're going to stay away from that topic. But speaking of topics here that we can talk about, I will say that coming in to tonight's race, the only EOL here for tonight is going to be the 78 of John Van Varellis. So he is our only EOL. That means Josh Coley, Tony Rice, Brandon Young, Sterling Smith, and Chris Brown are just opting not to qualify here tonight.
Yeah, and we just got a message there in chat as I'm getting caught up here, so I finally got it open. Huppy says no shifting here. At least they haven't felt like they needed to, which tells me, it's a little bit borderline, and maybe we'll see that later in the run when these cars slow down. But as of right now, at least early on, these are the runs that they've done. I'm not sure how long of practice runs they've put in, but no shifting, which should make this a little bit easier for these guys.
Yeah, I did hear somebody saying, I don't know if they were just saying it or not, but I did hear someone earlier when I was hanging out with some of the drivers that said they heard somebody downshift. I don't know if you can technically hear somebody downshift from one car to the other, but if that's the case, then we may have some here that are downshifting and some that are not.
You absolutely can. I was getting away with it at our Phoenix race, and somebody came over the radio and told me they heard me downshifting, so my secret got let out of the bag there. So that's how I know you can actually hear it from another car. I knew you could hear it in replay, but not sure how the sounds are set up or if you got to be right next to somebody. But yeah, I do know for a fact that in some scenarios, if a guy's next to you, he can hear you downshifting.
Well, that could make it very interesting as Mikey's out there just doing some stop and goes here for pit stop practice. But so then that would be confirmed. We do have at least one person downshifting. So this could be interesting as we don't know who it was that they were referring to that was downshifting. But so we probably have a mix in here, a few that are, a few that aren't. We do know is there is over 20 drivers that have made the trip here. Probably about 26 is what I'm counting or so. So it should be a great race.
Yeah, and since we got a few minutes to kill here, at least a minute or so, the reason why downshifting matters, and what we'll probably pay attention to it later, is downshifting is tough on these cars. Unless you're using some of the auto shift components, which make life easier. But then you don't gain the advantage. So if you're manually shifting and having to do the rev matches, downshift can get you in trouble. If you downshift and don't properly rev match, that rear end will come around on you big time. It almost locks up those rear tires. The upside to that is if it gets you into power band, you will get off that corner a lot better than a guy that's not shifting. And like we said, these big, long straightaways, getting off that corner is all that matters. So if downshifting gets you off that corner better, it's going to be a big advantage on a track like this. But it's very tough to do in these cars.
Yeah. And another thing to mention here is we got about 40 seconds left. Is we've heard about it, and it is a real thing here. While it doesn't look like a super speedway track, it looks like a triangle. It looks like two boomerangs put end to end is what it really looks like. And somebody made a racetrack out of it because of the way it is shaped with the long straightaways, like you were talking about. A little bit of drafting can come to play here because they're so long and you get so much speed.
Yeah, well, I think, obviously it's not Daytona so much or something like that where we're even going through the corners at such a high speed. But any of these intermediate tracks where we're carrying speeds 170, 180, even Texas or some of those, even bigger, Michigan or tracks like this, absolutely, there's drafting going on down the straightaway, and they do come into play. And if you've been following the NASCAR, news here lately, their package for next year is to actually try to get more drafting in play, right? So they're not bringing drafting into play; they're trying to get more drafting, and certainly we have some of that here with these longer straightaways. We'll have a little more of that than at most tracks.
We will indeed. And it is that time once again for the Walls Beard Co. starting grid. And I have to say, with this track, and I believe now one other one, Michigan may do it, I think. I'm not certain on that, but one other track does. I absolutely love the way they start sideways on pit road here.
Yeah, absolutely. I just actually ran to New Michigan this weekend for the first time, and I was a little surprised to see that they do that too, but the Pocono and the Michigan's, the way they back you into your pits diagonally like that and you pull it out, I think it's a pretty neat thing on iRacing, at least on these broadcasts too.
It definitely is, and we're going to get to an angle where you can see more of these cars. There's the full field, and we'll go ahead and get to the Walls Beard Co. starting grid. We got 25 drivers that are going to start the race here. Jeff, you want to run through our top 10 drivers here in qualifying?
Yeah, absolutely. So on pole, the number 8 car, Mikey Justified Neal, starting on the front row. Outside, the number 5 car, Brandon Dorsett. In row 2, the number 2 car of Jameer Muhammad and the number 10 car of Jason Covington. In row 3, we've got the 18 of Ray Black Jr. and the 83 of Alex Huffman. In row 4, we've got the 9 of Brian Dorsey and the 30 of Mike Rigney. In row 5, we've got the 19 of Francois Pelletier and the 24 of Brian Bizzle. In
row 6 going to be the 45 of Brian Jones and the 63 of Charles Hoffman. Row 7 is going to be the 70 of Sam Crow and the 99 of Justin Starr. Row 8 is going to be the 101 of David Gainforth and the 21 of Dan Butler. Row 9 is going to be the 31 of Scotty Zerk, the 77 of Justin Spear. Row 10 is going to be the 555 of Butch Frazier and the 1 of Chris Brown. 33 of Josh Coley, going to be row 11 with the 78 of John Van Rellis receiving the EOL here for tonight. Row 12 is going to be the 51 of Brandon Young and the 50 of Sterling Smith. And rounding out your field here tonight is going to be the 64 of Tony Rice starting on row 13. And yes, you actually got that right spot on. It took me a minute. The 19 of Francois Pelletier is how he says his name. I had to clarify that with him.
What do they say? Every dog gets a bone once in a while, or a blind squirrel finds a nut, or something like that. Kind of lucked into that one, didn't we?
Yeah, and apparently he's had people mispronounce it, so he also uses the nickname Frenchie as his nickname. So as he is obviously French, so that is his nickname. But we got it right, so we'll go by his real name here tonight. As the green flag does come out, and Mikey Neal gets a huge jump over this field.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Brandon Dorsett was sleeping there a little bit there on the outside row, and to be honest with you, it looked like maybe Jameer Muhammad was sleeping a little bit too on the inside. Mikey Neal jumps out there on the initial green to start this thing, and got himself a nice little lead there. But like you said, the draft's going to matter here a little bit, and I'm not going to be surprised at all to see these guys suck right back up to his bumper going down this first long straightaway.
Yeah, and one thing we didn't talk about coming into tonight's race is pit road. Obviously, pit road is always going to be important, but with this particular track, the way it's shaped, there is no blue cone. You literally come out of pit road and you are right there on the track, so you don't have to worry about merging after that blue line and that blue cone there.
Yeah, but what's tricky about pit road is you're going right into that corner, and that racing line's right down there against that yellow line. And so you got cars coming high to low and kind of looking more in front of them and not beside them. And so you're kind of merging out in almost like a blind spot there when you got these cars coming into the corner. So green flag pit stops can be a little bit tricky merging into traffic.
They really can, and especially if you, if we go green, which I have a feeling we're going to see some long green flag runs. We probably will see some cautions, but I think we're going to see some long green flag runs just for the sheer fact that this track is really wide. It is tricky, but it's wide, so you can get out of the way if you're involved in a spin or something, and it may not bring out a caution. And there's a lot of runoff down there, including that little, runoff lane. So we'll see if we see a lot of cautions or any at all tonight.
Yeah, I agree with you. This track, as I watched the number 2 car get into the wall there, so Jameer Muhammad Looked like he tail slapped the pole off there a little bit in number 1, slowed him up. He got it going again and didn't really check anybody up, but and I don't see any damage. But Jameer Muhammad already having a little bit of trouble with one of these tricky corners here.
Yeah, and the one they said would be tricky is the tunnel turn. So again, I think they're all tricky because they're all different, but that tunnel turn could be a problem here as we're watching them try to run down Mikey Neal. So far, not being able to, but still, I would say a really good battle between second, third, and fourth right now. As those guys are not really bumper to bumper, but they are about a half a car length in between them. And again, to note, if they can get together and get what little draft you can, I mean, it's not, like you said, it's not Talladega draft, but it will be a little bit of a draft, and that will help them catch Mikey Neal slowly but surely.
Yeah, the draft is a real thing on these tracks, particularly here. Now, I don't know if, as far back as Jameer is right now, if he's actually going to catch a whole lot of draft there. And then back to your point about the tunnel turn, I think everybody's got a turn here that they think is the toughest. A lot of guys struggle with turn 3 there and that little bit of banking, but I'm in agreement. I tend to struggle more with that tunnel turn, and not that it's a hard turn, but there is a specific and certain way to run through there and carry a bunch of speed and almost flat foot that corner. And you have got to be spot on to do it, and it brings you all the way out to the wall. You've got to enter in the right spot. You've got to burp that throttle in the right spot, and it's one of the hardest things to do lap after lap after lap. So I'm agreeing with whoever it was that told you turn 2 is the tunnel turn is their tough turn. But I think tunnel 3 really throws a lot of guys for a loop too, or turn 3.
And then you couple that with, just looking at the track temp here. This track temp is 101 degrees, so it's very hot. It's going to make it slick. So you're going to have to be very good. And I'm wondering if that heat maybe had something to do with that wall slap that the 2 did.
Yeah, well, I was kind of, it's hard to say here. That turn 1 is, again, these turns are all so different here and not being out there. But, yeah, I'm going to say 104 degrees, 106 degrees, 108 degrees, wherever we're at in there. That's a pretty hot track temp, and that usually makes for a pretty slick track. So, yeah, I'd say there's a good chance it absolutely has something to do with it.
I will definitely be watching as we've gone back a little bit here, back to the Brian Jones, Francois Peltier area, Brian Dorsey, Brian Bizzle, Mike Rigney. There is a huge group right here battling. Those front guys have kind of gone off a little bit, and I want to go right back up there to those front guys real fast before we get back there. I don't know if you saw that, but Mikey Neal knows this draft is real, as you saw him dive all the way to the bottom trying to cut that draft off.
No, I've been watching that 2 wide back there with the 24 car of Brian Bizzell and Mike Rigney. I've been watching that battle a little bit, so I did not see Mikey Neal mess from that draft, but you're absolutely right. If he's driving down the bottom of the track, he is 100% trying to make sure that the 18 car and the 2 car there are not catching that draft from him, because these long straightaways, even if they're only picking up a mile an hour, that can close a big gap in a hurry.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if he maybe got a little loose when it happened, as we're back there watching them. As we went back to Mike Rigney and them, when the 18 went down, the 2 shot down with him, and when they came into the next set of corners, Ray Black Jr. in that 18 was actually able to get by Jameer and passed him for second place.
Yeah, and Jameer probably trying to catch that draft. Like I said, I missed it because I'm watching a heck of a 4-car battle back here. These guys are 2x2. They single file out in the corners. They get grouped back up, but they've single filed back up again, so I'll bounce back up there. But I completely missed it. But yeah, I mean, that's Jameer Muhammad trying to chase that draft down there a little bit, which will tell you right there. Jameer knows it's real too, and the 18 taking advantage of these guys zigzagging around the track and actually able to get back by Jameer and close the gap up to Mikey too. He's done that as well.
He has indeed. And we'll go back here to where you were watching. You said it was around the 30 of Mike Rigney.
Yeah, it was the same cars we were talking about earlier. It was the 24, the 30, the 45, and the 63 kept swapping places and 2x2ing it there. Looks like they're getting ready to go again there. They've been battling off and on, and they get single file and then go at it again.
Well, we'll definitely hang here. While we're watching these guys battle, we did talk to, of course, one of the guys we knew that came over here, and one of your competitors here, Josh Coley, who is currently sitting in the 33 car back in 14th place. We did talk to him, and his crew was telling him 19 to 20 laps, according to his, I believe it was 19.2 laps. So, we bring that up because we're on lap 9. That would put us at about 10 laps. We should see guys coming down pit road.
Hey, I hate to interrupt, but the 18 just made a move on the 8 to try to take the lead. Not sure what happened. The 18 had to get out of it and lost a lot of traction, but now he's reeling back in. So 18 got a good run on the 8, made another move for it, had to bail out of that, and looks like he's setting up another move here. So 22 laps is what you're saying we're looking at, so I would estimate 20 laps then in a 60-lap race. If we got some guys up front here battling it, we may see somebody short pit as early as lap 18 if they've got those extra 2 laps in the bank.
Yeah, so, he was telling us 19 to 20, somewhere in there. I don't even, according to, was Josh Coley telling us, they can't even make it 20 laps, so... Oh,
I'm sorry, I thought you said 22. If they can't make it 20, then we got to start looking at lap 15.
Yeah, I would be there to come in at 15 and break it up in even segments. It's going to be interesting, and of course, that's based on how fast he's going, too. Some of these guys may try to conserve a little bit. However, I would be willing to guess, as we're watching this front group, Mikey Neal right now, he can try to conserve, but I don't think he's going to be able to a lot. If he does try to conserve, he could very well lose that lead, as these guys are right there with him.
Well, I'll tell you what, that 18 Ray Black Jr., he's got a fast ride tonight. He has struggled a little bit to get back Mikey, but he's run him down, lost ground, run him down a couple times. It makes me think he might even be a little bit faster than Mikey. He just can't figure out how to get around him. So I don't think Mikey's going to be able to save anything. Ray Black Jr., unless he drives these wheels off in the next couple laps, giving Mikey all he can handle. But just as I say that, he kind of blows that corner there, and that's where we talk about. Look at all that ground he lost with one little wobble coming off that corner there.
Yeah, and speaking of wobbling and bobbling back there, right as you said that, we jumped to the 9 of Brian Dorsey. As you can see, if you got back there, has a ton of damage to the right side. Coming out of turn 2, just hammered that outside wall pretty hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's turn 1, I'm seeing some guys get a little bit of a tail shake coming off there. And that is one where it is easy to get loose coming off that corner. It's kind of a grippy corner. It's easy to get too much wheel into it and then be trying to come into that throttle. You're trying so hard to get a good run down the straightaway. So I'm not going to be surprised to see some guys spin it coming off of turn 1. But turn 2 is a little bit of a different problem, just like you talked about. You could almost flat foot through that corner, not quite. But, man, you're coming all the way out to the wall when you do that. And if you don't hit that line just right, you'll plow that thing right into that wall.
Yeah.
It's another place that is probably the next big gotcha on this track.
And unlike some leagues that do have fast repairs, they do not have any here in this league. So if you mess the car up, especially these cars, as we've noted before, if you hit the wall or you get it sideways, these cars are the old NASCAR. They don't have the aerodynamics that the newer cars have to keep them on the ground. They are very easy to flip over and roll, and you could put yourself out of the race very quickly, depending on how hard you hit it and if that car goes rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. 33 and the 45 got a nice side-by-side battle going right now, but it looks like the 33, he's finally got him cleared there. Got by Brian Jones. They've been going at it here for a little bit. But you're absolutely right. The other thing to talk about with the slap in the wall here is with these huge long straightaways, man, does aerodynamics matter. You're going to pay the price if you bump that spoiler up in the air, get that splitter up in the air. So pretty important that you keep your car clean and off the wall here at this track, and that's not something that's easy to do.
No, it definitely is not easy to do. It takes a lot of skill and a lot of patience to get around this track. And like I said, half these drivers will tell you, when we talk to them later tonight, they'll tell you they hate it, they got lucky, or either they love it and they want to come back here again. It's about a 50-50 split, as you just never know what you're going to get. But a note here, too, is just checked in with Jameer Muhammad. He's actually fallen off a little bit from this group. He did get into the wall, but I don't think that damaged anything. I'm wondering if he's not trying to conserve a little bit here.
Well, I'm looking, and I'm kind of wondering the same thing with a few of these cars. Mike Rigney in the 30, but you know, looking at lap times, one else I noticed is the 33 car right now, fastest guy in the field, and he's coming through traffic in a hurry. He's putting cars down, and he's turning the fastest lap times, lap over lap right now in traffic. So 33 is coming, and you know, we got another couple cars. I mean, I'm looking at cars a second and a half slower right now a lap, and so I got to think that those cars, like the 70 of Sam Crow being one of them, the 21 of Dan Butler. I think some of these guys are saving, just like you said. I think there's some guys out there. The 18 of Roy Black Jr. all of a sudden just went from 56-second laps to 57-second laps. So didn't know. Maybe I missed somebody hitting the wall or something, but it does look like we got some guys out there trying to conserve a little bit. And then we got some guys like the 33 right now who are absolutely on a mission.
And went back here to the 31 of Scotty Zerk, who's on pit road on lap 15. This may be a scheduled pit stop. I don't know. I can't confirm that for sure because looking at the back right of his car, he has heavy damage to it. So he could have come in, but he was only on pit road for 15.5 seconds. So based on that, not taking any damage to get repaired, he would have had to sit there because there's no fast repairs. I'm thinking that was probably a scheduled stop then.
Well, we said if they can't make it to 20 laps, then they probably need to start breaking this up into 4 sections or 3 pit stops. So, you know, lap 15 would be the logical spot to break that up. So, seeing that he came in, I think he probably came to the conclusion that he wasn't going to make it to lap 20. But looking at these guys that have stayed out, the fact that nobody else came in on lap 15 has me thinking that most of these guys are thinking that they can save enough to get to lap 20.
Yeah, and that will make it interesting to see which strategy works out the best. As, again, we were told 19.2. And again, that is a rough estimate there, but we do have some drivers coming down, and it's going to be, if we can get to them, Brian Dorsey and Chris Brown coming down. One of them having damage, but again, I think this is the beginning of pit stops. Dan Butler coming down as well.
Yeah, it does look like it. So they're opting to go an extra lap or so. I guess that's fine. Gives you more options. I think if I knew that I had to stop 3 times, then I probably would have come in off 15 and got those fresh tires a little bit earlier. But so far, just the 4 takers on fuel though, and tires.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. We know Mikey is notorious for saving here, as it looks like Ray Black Jr. is going to come in, and he locks him up getting onto pit road. So he's going to flat spot those tires probably. Good news is he's taking 4 tires of fuel, so that won't be too big of an issue.
Can we see, did he have any damage there? He was flying there early. He was giving Mikey Neal all that he could handle, and then he just fell off. So I don't know if he burned up those tires or if he actually got a little bit of tail slap on the wall or something there.
I don't see any damage to the back of that car. I'm wondering, I think he just probably burned them up. The tire wear may be very intense here as he's getting 4 tires and fuel. Because just looking at Mikey's times, again, I would be venturing to guess he's not conserving because everybody's running it. 53 8s for their fastest time, 56 4s for his last lap. So, nearly 3 seconds of fall off in 18 laps. That's a tremendous amount of speed. If I was a betting man, I would put money on that. He ran it extremely hard and probably just burned those tires up very quickly.
I'm going to guess that, and that's a lot of times what happens. Mikey's a little more experienced driver, even at his young age than a lot of the guys out here. As far as race management goes, just by virtue of running as many races as he does, and he does take a whole picture view of things, and he does a real good job at pacing himself to save those tires. And I can tell you from experience, when the first thing you do when you come on iRacing is you learn how to race, and then you try to figure out how to go fast, and then you try to figure out why you're so fast, but everybody still beats you, and that's usually when you figure out that you got to learn how to save those tires.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about that when you're talking about Mikey being so young and so good at what he does, as those guys are coming down pit road. So we're talking about the 18 of Ray Black, but we're going to go to Mikey Neal, make sure he has a good pit stop here. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Ray Black Jr. Is with Pelletier. I believe he actually races in some form of NASCAR Xfinity or something like that. I don't know which series it is, but I know those two are together, and I do believe they are actually on like a pro circuit team.
Well, then maybe we're just speculating a little bit about tire management being an issue, because I would expect somebody that does this for a living to know all about tire management. But for most iRacers, that's a large part of the learning curve. And the one that trips up the vast majority is learning how to manage your stuff, learning how to manage those tires, how to be fast and not burn your tires up. We can all go back to the whole Days of Thunder, and you run 50 laps your way, now run 50 laps my way, and that was exactly what it was all about. And it was true, and it is true, and that's where a lot of the iRacers struggle, and that's usually what separates guys like Mikey Neal from guys that want to be like Mikey Neal.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I was looking, and I don't have a way to confirm that, but I believe that is the case. If we get a caution, I know we can talk to Francois and definitely confirm what series he's in. But definitely very interesting to see. Mikey, as Mike Neal just said, Mikey Neal out there beating some of the professionals. That goes to show you, for one, not just Mikey Neal, but the talent level that is untapped here on iRacing. That some of these people very well could be hanging with the big boys in the real series if they just got that chance.
Well, we know that there's professional drivers in iRacing. I mean, I think you've seen 1,000 promo videos for it. We see them. If you've been here, you've gone into the lobbies and you've seen the Denny Hamlins and the Tony Stewarts and if you get into some of these leagues, there's plenty of other guys who don't go to the professional lobbies of all disciplines. We've got former IndyCar drivers, there's former road racers, so most guys that have been around iRacing have had a chance to race some of these professional drivers, and most of these professional drivers will tell you that this is very, very close. Obviously, you're not sitting in the real thing, and you're not scared to death that you're going to wreck, and you're not feeling the G-forces in your butt, but the rest of it's pretty accurate. So, Mikey Neal, somebody that beats the professionals, and we've seen it. We've seen him out there racing some of the pro sim drivers and some of these other drivers in the public races. And, we talk about Mikey Neal being over the hump and managing those tires, but I'll tell you who else is too. Jameer Mohammed. We're talking about Mikey because Mikey's leading the race tonight. But, everything we've said about Mikey, we could just as easily put Jameer Mohammed's name right in there too, in those same sentences, because, those two are pretty much equals on the course and in this league. And the thing that they are the best at is they can be fast in the short run, and they have plenty left in their cars for the long run.
Yeah, definitely. They'll have something here. And, we don't talk about him a whole lot, but Brandon Dorsett sitting in second place right now. He does have Jameer Mohammed all over his back bumper. But that being said, he is actually at the moment holding his own against Jameer Muhammad. And again, he's not someone we talk about every week, but doing a fantastic job here, running in second place. Holding off the two, but neither one of them quite being able to get up to Mikey. Jason Covington sitting in fourth place. And another one we haven't really talked about here tonight that is always somebody you got to look out for, and that is Alex Huffman sitting in fifth. Yeah,
Alex Huffman, obviously teammates with Mikey Neal. These guys work together. They practice together. Alex Huffman is always somebody that we've always kind of waiting. He's got great short run speed. He's just got to work on his long run a little bit. And, he's the next guy that I expect to see up there running with Mikey Neal and, Jameer Muhammad. Alex Huffman is always in the top 5, and he's always fast. And I think he's just a little bit of tire management away from being up there and making those guys rip their hair out night after night.
Yeah, he definitely is. And I'll be looking for him come next season as well, as all of these guys, just everyone, period, in this league has improved so much from when we saw them. We've seen guys, new guys come in here that, just immediately went to the top. Then we've seen people that used to run mid-pack to a little further back have really improved, and they've moved towards the front of this pack. So we've seen a lot of people, just improve so much since we've been here. I mean, we've been here for going on, this is the second season. It's just amazing to see the progress that everyone's made.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And so you had me Googling it there because I couldn't help it. Ray Black Jr. is an Xfinity Series driver, so he is a professional race car driver. And that would explain why he was so dang fast there running Mikey down. Was unable to complete the pass, and I don't know if he got into the wall or something, but he was a little bit slow right there before pit stops, and he cycled out kind of mid-pack. And Frenchie, as you call him, but Francois Pelletier is his tire changer on his crew. So that's the relationship with them, and it looks like they run for Rick Ware Racing. And they run in the Xfinity Series. So there you go. We got a couple bona fide professional racers and celebrities right here in this very race with us.
Yeah, and, again, right now, we'll keep it on them. We don't want to, fanboy them, as they would say, too much. But it is nice to see that, these professional drivers are just like us. They come in here, they want to have a good, clean race on iRacing, and that's what he's doing right now. He is sitting in 18th place, and I am showing a little bit of damage to the backside of his car now. That was not there when he came down pit road 8 laps ago, so that damage has just been acquired.
Yeah, when I asked you if there was any damage on that car, I was trying to figure out what happened because he was so fast early. I also checked, and there was no damage, so any damage that's visible now, which I do see there, the 18, in the right rear quarter there is new damage, and with that splitter kicked up like that, that's going to hurt him a little bit going down these long straights.
It definitely will, and you're going to need all the speed you can get, as now Jameer Muhammad just got by Brandon Dorsett to take second place, so you have your by far most 2 dominant drivers here in Racecore, and that is a fact thing. That is based off wins, top 5s, top 10s. That is statistically proven. Your top 2 most dominant drivers, Mikey Neal and Jameer Muhammad, up top. Or at first and second. That is going to be very hard to get a win with those 2 up front. One of them probably will get it unless we have an upset here, and it has happened before.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we talk about these 2 guys is their ability to manage those tires over the long run. But when we talk about something other than the long run, right, if this thing goes green to the end and those guys keep their cars intact, I think they're absolutely the favorites. But if we get a late caution that bunches this thing up and we don't have a 20-lap sprint to the end, I think you got to look at somebody like Alex Huffman. He's absolutely got, that short run speed. Where he gets into a little bit of trouble is when the tires get a little older, trying to keep up with those two. But who doesn't run into a little bit of trouble on older tires trying to keep up with those two? So, then you've got Alex Huffman in the mix. Brandon Dorsett, man, he has not gone away. And he was definitely fast on fresh tires. So that's absolutely somebody, if we get this pack bunch back up, that we got to look at too. Jason Covington, right there in that mix, there are plenty of guys here that can get this there if we just bunch things back up. If we stay green like this, we got to look at that 8-car and that 2-car as probably our two favorites.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Coming in, I didn't expect to see very many, if any, cautions at all. You add the fact that this league is notorious for having low cautions or no cautions. You add a wide track. These guys are getting spread out a little bit. That will lead to no cautions here in the race. But I'm back here watching the 24 of Brian Bizzle, the 30 of Mike Rigney, and the 1 of Chris Brown. These three, while the rest of this field is getting a little spread out, they're right here, bumper to bumper, putting on a pretty good show. We'll see. It looks like maybe the 30 of Mike Rigney wants to get by that 24 of Brian Bizzle here in the next lap or two.
Yeah, definitely. We got to put Chris Brown in that mix too, man. Chris Brown, obviously, right there. So we got 3 cars kind of in that mix, and again, we don't know, who's trying to save a little bit for some pit strategy or whatever. But if we look at some lap times here, Chris Brown turning some pretty fast laps right now, and of course, just as I say that, Mike Rigney and Chris Brown fall off a little bit on their lap times, and Brian Bizzle in the 24 just turned in a screaming lap. So, it goes back to this one little mistake on this just kills a lap. One mistake on this track coming on one corner, one bulb with these long straights is easily, a quarter second to 0.3 of a second, on that lap time. So, kind of hard to judge who's coming and going. When one little mistake can just kill your lap.
It definitely can here. And while we go up to your leader, Mike and Neil, real fast, not a whole lot going on, so hopefully we see some side-by-side racing here shortly. I think we will. We're watching those top 3. We want to, real quickly here, just over the halfway point, again, thank everybody for tuning in here tonight. Don't forget, if you haven't already subscribed, do so. Hit the bell to be notified of all upcoming events here on VRN, as well as hitting the thumbs up button if you like the race here tonight. But back to the racing action here is we have guys coming down pit road here. This is in their window, though, as looks like Josh Coley's going to be one of the first ones coming down.
Yeah, Josh Coley actually stayed out there to that 20-lap mark on the last one. He doesn't have many tires on his car. I'm not sure what happened. He fell way back, so I'm guessing maybe he got a little bit of damage or something. So a little surprised to see him come in so early. And not sure if he was having some problems or spun that car and heated the tires up, but it looks like a change of pit strategy for him.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm looking at him. I don't see any damage. Again, it could be somewhere we just can't see at the moment. And we're currently anywhere from 12 to 14 laps. I would be willing to guess that one of our next drivers is probably going to be Mike Rigney. Actually, Ray Black Jr. Very well could come in this time. He's on lap 15 of this stint. And he is down on the bottom, so we'll see if he comes in this time. And they're on the what I guess you could call the back stretch. So he could be one of our next ones. Mike Rigney could be, and Justin Starr also in that closest to the window of coming in.
Yeah, I'm showing Dan Butler and Justin Spear as being probably the longest out there right now. I thought I saw Justin Starr pit already. I guess not. 14 laps he did not pit.
Hey, you're right, Dan Butler, 16 laps since his last time on pit road. Didn't see that one, but yes, indeed, he has been out there a little bit longer than these guys. So a bunch of different strategies going on here, anywhere from 12 to 16 laps. So it'll be interesting. As there goes Dan Butler. You are correct. He's going to be one of the first ones coming down. He was last time as well.
Well, the other interesting thing is now that we've been spread out, we've got the first 34 laps of this race under green. We've got differing pit strategies, so now we've got pit stops putting guys a lap down. So if a caution were to come out right now, we'd have some cars get trapped a lap down. So this may behoove the leaders to stay out there a little bit longer. Of course, you gamble with the fact that we've seen, we've got 3 seconds of fall off on these tires at the end of a run. So that's time that you're losing, but there is a case to be made for staying out there as long as possible.
Yeah, and looking here to the 2 of Jameer Muhammad, I didn't see this earlier, even though he did scrape the wall. This is, I think, new. Again, I didn't see it before. He now has damage to the back of his car, too. On the back right side, that spoiler, splitter, whatever you want to call it, is a little jacked up in the air. So now our probably one of our top drivers with a chance to win here has damage, and I think that's going to slow him down a little bit, trying to catch Mikey Neal, who has a pretty clean car right now.
Yeah, I think it already is, as we see the 5-car Brandon Dorsett kind of all over his bumper right now. So, anytime you kick that up and it catches a little bit more air coming down the straightaway, which with that whole back end looks like it's turned kicking that up. It definitely is. It's going to slow you down a bit.
It definitely is going to slow you down. And obviously the last thing you want is to have that slowing you down. We'll just have to keep a very close eye on it. See if it does hinder him too much. As it will a little bit. We'll just have to wait and see how much. As there comes the 18 of Ray Black Jr. down pit road. He definitely has damage. So they may get some of that repaired. I'm not sure. You being more of the race expert here on that side, how much time or how much damage can you get repaired in about 15 seconds?
None.
None?
I mean, maybe like 2 or 3 seconds. Nothing that'll have any impact. It's going to put the tires on. It's going to put fuel in. Maybe they'll take a swing of the hammer or something, but it's not going to fix it. These guys need a caution to get much fixed on these cars.
And I seriously doubt we're going to be seeing that anytime soon. As we stated, this track is so wide and it has so much runoff. The only real place that you could possibly spin and it maybe bring out a caution is going to be right there on the front stretch or on the back stretch where there's very little. We'll go up here to the blimp camera real fast as we're watching Jason Covington, so you can get a feel. Right there's a little bit, but anywhere that you're probably going to spin, I would be safe to bet is going to be in a corner. And if you look there's a lot of grass in these corners that you can get off the track.
Yeah, probably your best bet to bring out a caution is off 2 because you plow into that outside wall. Coming off of 1, it seems to be more likely to cause a spin, but so often it's so wide there, and then you kind of wash down into that infield. It seems like the only place where you ever really wreck a lot in the racing line is in turn 2 if you drill that wall. It's just a narrower part of the track. Everywhere else it's just so wide and there's so much room for you to kind of spin out of the way when it gets spread out that we don't see a lot of cautions. And, like I said, it seems like maybe the exit of 1, but probably the exit of 2 is our best bet to see a caution.
Yeah, and we'll see if indeed that happens here tonight. At the rate they're going right now, I don't see that happening. Again, they're just really good at what they do here. It looks like Justin Starr on pit road, and looks like a fairly clean car for him here tonight. And there goes Brandon Dorsett in the 5, one of our top 5 drivers currently on the track in 4th. He's coming down pit road, so he will take his pit stop here. So we'll see Mikey Neal on lap 19 as the 33 of Josh Coley is trying to get by him here. We'll see if he comes down pit road this time, and he is in a very bad spot. He is on the outside right now if he needs to come down.
Yeah, and Brandon Dorsett there in the 5 car, short pit him a little bit. As you see, Mikey Neal just kind of let everybody go to put himself in position to pit. Pretty sure he's going to come down this time. But yeah, the 5's going to short pit that, which might make him 1 lap shy at the end of this race. However, I think what it will also do is cycle him out to the lead after this round of pit stops. Should pick him up about 3 seconds, which would be enough to put him out front. But the question is first of all, can he hold Mikey Neal and Jameer Muhammad off? And then the second question would be, does he have enough gas to make it a lap further than we've seen anybody make it so far?
Yeah, those are 2 very good questions here to try and figure out. If he indeed can make it, he's going to get into pit road, but he has to back up a little bit. That's going to cost him just a little bit of time. Jameer Muhammad and Jason Covington right behind him. And it looks like also, I believe that was a 63 on pit road as well. Jameer Muhammad completes his stop, getting off pit road, and he is actually going to beat Mikey Neal off pit road.
Yeah, I missed it. Who had to back up there, Charles? I was not watching that.
That was the 8 of Mikey Neal. Had to back it up coming onto pit road.
Yeah, that's not good. Mikey Neal, he's a guy that practices pit stops. So, Mikey Neal's going to have his work cut out for him. He stayed out that extra. He got short pit a little bit, and then he had to back it up. Jameer Muhammad's got a little bit of damage, so I got to think that he can run him down. But I'm not sure if the 5 got out ahead of him or not. He should have, and he should have a couple seconds to work with here now.
And Brandon Dorsett does have a little bit of a gap, 1.7 seconds. Chris Brown also, who pitted quite a bit earlier, he has 8 laps on his tires. They're going to get by him here, so no surprise there. And there goes Mikey Neal. He does pass Jameer, not for the lead, as they still have to run down the 5, but I have a feeling he'll probably catch him pretty quick.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm showing about a 2-second difference, and Brandon Dorsett just wasn't falling behind by 2 seconds. I don't think I saw him fall 2 seconds back on any run. I think he was able to stay within about 2 seconds. So we'll see. Mikey Neal probably was able to save a little bit, just paying attention to that gap. So we'll see if he's got anything in the tank, but that short pit by the 5 car is certainly going to make the number 8 car work his car to catch up. But as I say that, he's already pulled off of a half a second. So just when I start making this sound like it's going to be this epic rundown, you can just about cue the Jaws music, because Mikey Neal's coming, and he's coming fast.
He definitely is coming very fast, and I think he'll catch him. We'll see if he can. Jameer Muhammad right there as well. Chris Brown still within striking distance, and so is Alex Huffman, who now has damage to the front right side of that machine. Looks like he has either gotten into somebody or got into the outside wall at some point here in the last couple of laps.
I think Brandon Dorsett is trying to save fuel. Oh, we got a caution out. That is a game changer.
That is
I think Brandon Dorsett was saving fuel there, Charles.
I believe he may have been too, and I'm not even sure who the caution was for. I think it was for the Ray Black Jr., as he is still stuck on the wall. So let's go back and take a look. See exactly what happened here. As I'm not 100% sure. We're going to have to go back a little bit more here to find out. I believe he just got into the outside wall.
Well, looks like he caught a little bit loose coming off of the turn 3 corner. Maybe caught a little bit of apron, pushed out to the wall. And that pushed out to the wall, he just, he got loose and ended up back in the wall. So, don't know if he just overdrove turn 3 there a little bit and pushed into the wall, or if he actually got loose and getting on that apron caused him to shoot out there. But either way, the 18 in a solo wreck that brings out the caution, bunches the field back up, gives Brandon Dorsett the lead. Now we know he'll have enough fuel to make it, but I got to wonder how many of these guys are going to pit.
I'm kind of curious that too.
I'm thinking they probably all come in and pit.
I think you're probably right on there, as I think we'll see them coming down pit road here. As we'll know here shortly, the lights are still on. So we'll just have to wait and see. Again, this is a 2.5 mile track, so it's going to take him a while to get around pit road. How long is the question? So we'll see who's coming down, who's staying out. But I'm with you. I think at least the top 10, maybe even top 15 are going to come down.
17 laps left. I'm coming in. I know if you only got 3 laps on your tires, it is worth the gamble, or you're at least thinking about getting some track position. If you're in the back, if you're back there like in place 17 where Francois Peltier is, and you got 3-lap old tires, it's worth a gamble. Why not stay out? But if you're up front and you got a fast car, I'm coming in. I'm getting new tires. Mikey Neal, Brian Bazell, Jameer Mohammed, you betcha. Give me new tires.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Francois Peltier, Brian Bizzle, and Brian Jones not coming down pit road. So this is a battle for 4th place, as it looks like Mikey Neal is going to take a 10-second stop. So I didn't look to see if he took tires. I would imagine in 10 seconds he took 2 tires and fuel.
You think Francois heard me? I specifically mentioned him.
He very well may have.
If only I was that good, Charles. No, I think it's a good move. I think you got some of these guys. You know, Brian Bazell, I'm not sure where he was right before the pits. I know he was a top 10 car earlier. He's got good speed, but he wasn't catching the leaders. Maybe it's worth it for him. It might be a guy that has the speed to stay up front there. You know, I hate having 3-lap older tires than anybody behind me. But, you know, Brian Jones was probably about a 10th place car. Francois Pelletier was running in 17th place. I think this is a good move. I mean, I like the move for all 3 of those cars. Why not get up there and get in front of some of these guys with your 3-lap older tires? I realize you'll be a few tenths off, but if you just to hold the track position, hopefully you get another caution. Now you can come in and get your new tires. And look at all those cars you didn't have to pass.
Yeah, and good news for him is the fact that he will have 3 cars behind him, or 2 cars behind him, to try to hold them off. So it's going to be tough. They're going to have about 15 to go. I would say if he can hold them off for, 5 to 7 laps, I think he may have this one in the bag. If he can hold them off and we don't see another caution or anything. But the lights are still on the pace car, which means we have this lap and at least one more. So we are going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back here with hopefully the conclusion of this race coming up here in just a few moments. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Pace car diving off. It is Brian Bizzle out front. Green flag is in the air. We have, I believe it is 15 laps to go. If my math's correct, 14 to go. Again, I forgot about that extra pace lap in there, but they are bunched up once again. This is the first time since the start they've been this bunched up.
Yeah, Francois Pelletier making
Oh!
work of
Brian Jones.
There we go. There's that caution. Oh, no caution for that. What a save. And now the caution's coming out.
Oh, gee.
Back up on the track, and we just caught a lot of cars.
We did catch a ton of them. And let's go back to the 45 of Brian Jones, as that is where this all started. Let's go back and take a look with him, as I think he just got loose on his own.
I wasn't sure if... I think we had either some contact with the 8 or some net code. It's hard to say. But that car came around like there was contact there. And I think we had net code.
Yeah, it very well could have been. Let's go right in there with him, as this is where it all started out. And it went chaos from there. Let's go back again here one more time to the instant replay. Brian Jones. And let's go on the roll bar cam here with him. And actually, let's go, if we can't find a good view here of what happened there. But again, I'm with you, a little bit of net code going on. Definitely a decent sized wreck there.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go back and Jameer Mohammed, that 2 car, had to make a heck of a move to get by that. So I actually want to go look at that from his cockpit and see what that looked like in front of him. It all took place right in front of Jameer Mohammed. And I'm not sure how he got through it, but he did.
He did, and we'll go up there and watch it on board with you as we're watching. You're on board with Jameer Mohammed. See what happened.
Yeah, we can see the net code there for sure. And I guess it just kind of unfolded in front of him, but it disappeared in front of him too. I think I was giving him credit for some great wreck avoidance, but there may have been a little bit more luck there than wreck avoidance.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes you're good, sometimes you're lucky, and sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And I think he was there, as that's never what you want to see in front of you. When you're going in to a restart, to see something like that is probably one of the scariest things you can see as a racer.
Yeah, and I think there was a lot of net code there. They came close. They may have even made contact, but the way that car reacted, the little bit of contact they may have made shouldn't have made that car turn that hard and that fast. So I think it's pretty clear to me anyways. Looks like there was some net code there.
Yeah, and we were actually, I was talking to someone about that earlier. The fact that such little contact can spin someone around. It doesn't, get you loose or wiggle you. It's, you barely touch them, if at all, and it spins them around. It's unfortunate that it does happen. But what that does do here is we'll probably go green around lap 50, 51. So we should have 9 or 10 laps to go when we get the green flag. The question is, you got 8, 9 laps on your tires, the front 2, 5 for everybody else. Do you come down and get tires?
With 10 to go, if I'm in the front 2, yeah, I think I'm going to get tires and hope some guys come in with me. If I'm Mikey Neal and Brandon Dorsett up there right now on new tires up front, I'm flipping a coin, trying to figure out. But I think with 10 to go, 11 to go, I might be coming down for some new tires. But if I'm those first guys on the 5-lap old tires, man, I'm not liking it. It's a tough decision for me there. But I think those guys up front with 8 and 9 laps on their tires, I expect to see them come in.
Yeah, I do too. And we could be surprised, like you said, sometimes we're right, sometimes we are way wrong. They are coming to the place where they should have gone in, and nobody coming down pit road.
Does you what I know.
Yeah.
Sometimes We get it right. I don't know. I think I might have come down if I got 9 laps on those tires. Because a lot of times, if the leaders come down, everybody's going to come down behind them. And I'm looking at a lot of tore-up cars in the back. I don't even see them coming down pit road. So I'm wondering if pit road was even open this time by.
It very well could have been, or could not have been, open at all. We'll see as we're at a zoomed-out view here to see this field, so we'll know exactly if and when anybody does come down pit road, as we will be watching for that. And lights are still on, so again, I thought they would take fewer laps since this track is so big. They are taking quite a few caution laps here. Brian Bizzle, though, he's loving this right now. Though, if they don't come down, the lead, if you can keep just logging pace laps on those older tires, those are just fewer laps that these guys can get by you.
Yeah, I'm thinking that pit road wasn't open. There's some tore-up cars in the back that doesn't make any sense for these guys not to come down. They're not going to lose any spots, and they can get their cars fixed, maybe gain a few spots. So the fact that I didn't see anybody come down makes me think that this time by we're going to see if guys pit or not. And with 10 to go, I expect some takers. If you're in the back, you're just going to go contrary, right? If the guys up front don't pit, you got to pit middle on back. If the guys up front do pit, then middle on back, you got to think about staying out there.
Yeah, there's a reason I'm in the booth. You are the racer side, just kind of helping us out, of course. But we're going to go with your opinion because you are the racer here. I'm just not sure, and nobody peeling off. So once again, nobody coming down pit road.
I just doubled down on a bad bet, didn't I?
I think so. So we know a couple of things for sure now. One, nobody coming down pit road. The lights are off. They are going double foul. 2, I am never going to a casino with you.
Well, let me tell you. This time around, no. I think if there's 10 laps to go and we got a couple laps on these tires, I don't know why you wouldn't pit if you're in the middle of the pack on back. If you're not going to drive around 10 cars, and you haven't done it the first 160 laps, and you weren't doing it on that restart, if you didn't suddenly figure out that you were faster than 10 cars in front of you, why wouldn't you come in and get some tires and let those tires make you faster than those cars in front of you? We know that oftentimes, right, if somebody from the middle of that pack comes in, most of the guys behind them are going to follow. Maybe not everybody, but so I'm not understanding the decision, but I'm not out there racing either. These guys know things that I don't because they're on that track in that group. They know their cars, but that's kind of how I think about that.
Yeah, we'll definitely be waiting to see who wins this thing. This is going to be very tricky here, so we'll pull this up real fast at our caution chart. 10 laps to go right now. It's going to be 9 laps to go when they get the green. So this will get very, very interesting. And we've already said once you get to that 10 or less to go, it's kind of go time. This is when everything gets a little more crazy out on the track.
Well, and then I'm sitting here looking at the stint on these tires, and maybe we missed it, but it looks like everybody from about 17 on back did pit, Charles, so we just missed some of it.
Yeah, mine, I do see a few back there, 1 and 2. So you are right, those guys came down. Those are probably the guys with a little bit of damage, I'd imagine, too. But green flag is back out, 9 laps to go, and just as I figured, it is getting really dicey up here in the front.
Oh, another caution. Francois Pelletier was able to get the lead on that, but we got a caution out there. So new leader and another caution flag. Going to tick 5 more laps off, which means the guys that stayed out on these tires are smarter than me.
Yeah, well, we already know we're not going gambling with you, so apparently these guys are somebody you want to take to a casino, as they may be some great gamblers here, as get a shot to the back bumper from the 18 to the 63. That's not what caused it, though, but the 63 is the one that went around of Charles Hoffman. Oh, and it looks like, I'm not sure if there was more contact. Let's go back and look. but he just turned right into the 31. But I think he may have had a little help there.
Yeah, I'm still, looked like the 18, I don't know. I think he just drove up the track. I don't know that he had any help.
No, he did not. The 18 had bumped him already once. So we're going to go back and take a look at it. Let's go on board here with the 63. We'll go with his helmet cam. And I think something broke in there, to be honest. He was already, looks like he was turning into him to begin with. But that car was already got damage on it. He was fighting just to get through the corner. I think it just broke and just wouldn't go through the corner like he wanted it to.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out. I think he thought he was clear. I think he was trying to get up so he could turn down the track. You don't like to enter that corner low because you got to get out of the throttle too much. You like to enter it high and kind of drive it down that track. You can stay in the throttle a little more, carry a little more speed. And I think he just thought he was clear and tried to drive it up high to get that angle to turn down and carry more speed to that corner. And he wasn't clear.
Yeah, I definitely think you are right as well. As, again, didn't expect to see a caution come out as quick as we did. I thought we might see one more. The other thing, I thought we would see that a little further up in the field with these guys getting a little dicey up here. However, that was further back in the field where it happened. So not where I expected it and not as soon as I expected it either. You know, apparently I'm not such the better myself.
Well, you know, we know that cautions breed cautions, right? Anytime we bunch these cars up and we get to the end of a race, guys are going to get aggressive. Guys are going to be back in traffic. This is when the cautions can happen. You know, again, I guess you're a little bit gambling man. You know, I was advocating for the get in there and get fresh tires and drive around guys, but they don't even get another lap on, and here we have another caution flag. So by virtue of these guys staying up front now, you know, our new leader, Francois, and the 24, Brian Bizzle, and then you got to put Brandon Dorsett and the 5 in there too. You know, our first 3 cars, you know, they're going to have about 3 laps to hold off Mikey Neal and Jameer Mohammed. You know, and you got to put the one at Chris Brown in there. But we talked about short run. This changes things. You know, Alex Huffman fast as anybody on the short run here. Josh Coley, the 33 got up there. You know, I think position 7 and 8. That's maybe row 4 might be a little tough to get to the lead. I think it might be tough from row 3. So, yeah, these guys looking pretty smart staying out there with those old tires, especially if they can keep it side by side there for a while and make it harder for those guys on the fresher tires behind them to get around.
Yeah, this is that's going to be interesting. I think that the 19 has a very, very good shot getting this win here tonight. Mikey Neal, I think, has a good shot. Brian Bizzle, I'm with you. Brandon Dorsett, I'm not even going to count out the one of Chris Brown. Those are your top 5 right now. Jameer Mohammed, who is usually so dominant here, I want to point out in this race, has not led a single lap. He has been up front, but has not led a single lap here tonight.
Yeah, and he got some early damage to his car. I just don't think he can carry the speed, and I don't think if we're talking about a short sprint to the end, assuming that we can do this without going under caution again, I don't think that he's going to have the speed there to make this happen. Now, if Alex Huffman can get a good start here and get around these guys, and then Mikey Neal or Chris Brown kind of get caught up in that mess, or the 5 of Brandon Dorsett get jammed up a little bit, maybe there's a scenario where Alex Huffman can maybe get around some of these guys. But, you know, I'm really liking those front 2 cars right now on those older tires, the 24 of Brian Bizzell and the 19 of Francois Peltier. I wouldn't have told you I liked him on the last restart, but I like him now with fewer laps to go. And then, you know, the 5 and 8 right behind them, to me, seem like they've got the best chance to be the guys on fresher tires that get around if they do.
Yeah, we've had 3 cautions for 10 laps. So far, 6 laps to go. Of course, the lights are still on the pace car. They should be going off this time, and that is crucial here because, as we say, every time it comes down to this, 5 or less laps to go, that indicates the point of no return, as we call it. If a caution was to come out, the race would be over. And we have basically, we were going caution-free for the first half of this race, and then we had that one caution, and it had little baby cautions, I guess you could say. It bred more cautions, and they have started to creep in a little bit quicker each time. The question is, will this next one come out and end the race, or will we make it to the end under green?
Well, I can tell you, a couple cars up there, Francois and Brian Bazell, both of them probably hoping for a quick caution and hoping to hang on to the lead here. I think the cars behind them would like a little bit of time to get around them.
Yeah, definitely. I think they would too. It's going to be 5 to go at the line. So, very interesting to see how it plays out. I'm not 100% sold that we're going to finish this thing under green. That last one came out because people... I thought we were going to be aggressive. We did see a little bit of people starting to get more and more aggressive, but that wasn't the actual caution. It was, something broke on that car. It was already handling wrong. A lot of things could have gone wrong, but will we see that aggressiveness?
We're absolutely going to see that aggressiveness. You get back to 3, 4, 5 rows back, and I think we're going to have, 4 laps to go when this thing goes green?
5 when it goes green.
5 when it goes green. Okay, so that's at a big track like this, it's plenty of time to get in trouble.
It definitely is, and I stand corrected. You are right. It's going to be it is going to be 4 to go. My math was off. So 4 laps to go when we get the green, as the pace car is getting ready to peel off. So you're right. 4 to go at the line this time by.
I may not know my pit stops, but I know laps to go, darn it.
Well, you definitely got that one. Green flag is in the air. 4 laps to go, and here comes Jamir Muhammad taking it to the bottom. That 19 of Francois Peltier definitely holding his own right on the bottom of the track, which only his second race, if he could put it in victory lane.
Oh, Mikey Neal into the wall. That's not going to work well for him. He's going to lose some spots there. He pushed up, overdrove it there in that big turn 1 of sweeping corner, put it in the wall coming off the corner. He's going to fall back a few spots, so probably ends his chances here right now. Francois Pelletier is still holding the lead.
Yeah, he definitely is. Those cautions, they're 3 wide between the 1, the 24, and the 2, and somehow make it work. I thought we were about to see a big pile up there in the corner.
Yeah, I think Brandon Dorsett just took her to the inside here, so we're side by side for the lead. The 2 guys on the oldest tires right now, the 5 of Brandon Dorsett and the 19 of Francois Pelletier. Brandon Dorsett clears him, going to clear him coming into the turn here. Should be able to pull back in front of him, and that's just 1 lap.
That is 1 with 3 laps to go. The 19 needs to get to the bottom and make sure he secures that spot. If he gets pushed up to the outside on older tires, I think they'll get by him fairly quickly here. And no surprise, Brandon Dorsett 14. Francois has 18 on there, but we'll see if those little bit newer tires will prevail or not. They are a little bit faster on their last lap.
Yeah, Brian Bazell starting to fall back there a little bit, but Francois Pelletier hanging in there. But the number 1 car, Chris Brown, man, he's coming.
Oh, sorry, caution is out.
That's over.
That is going to do it. And we'll take a look and see what caused Sam Crow, though, in the 70 involved in it. Let's take a look here. What brought out our final caution of the night?
I'm going to say the flagman.
Well, indeed, the flagman probably did bring out the yellow. As we'll see here, they were 3 wide there on the backstretch, so he kind of sorted that one out. And not sure what happened.
They were 3 wide.
Yeah.
They were 3 wide. It kind of sorted out. Justin Starr was on the outside. He got onto the back of a car and had to get out of the gas, which put him 3 wide again. You had a car in the apron. you had a car in the low line, and you had a car drifting back to the outside to make it 3 wide again, and there was just no making it work.
And that rumble strip down there is not going to be your friend. That didn't help anything. In the 101 of David Gainforth, with a hard lick to the back of the 70 after the caution was out, trying to get his car back going after being kind of tangled up in that. That will give him damage, as well as we'll go back to live unofficially until they cross the line anyway. We're on lap 59. Brandon Dorsett getting the win here tonight.
Yeah, that was what we talked about, right? If this thing went green, I think we were going to look at a race between Mikey Neal and Jameer Mohammed on the tire management strategy. But as soon as we got those cautions at the end, man, it was anybody's race. Brandon Dorsett, Francois Pelletier with the great strategy to go from 17th to the lead, held on to second. Then you got Chris Brown bringing it in third, and he was a couple more laps. I think he'd have been right in the mix. Josh Culley bringing it all the way up to 4th place there. Brian Bazell getting up front and then drifting back to 5th. So Mikey Neal getting into the wall. He ends up 7th. Not sure what happened to Jameer Mohammed. He was in the mix up there, but somehow he ended up 1 spot behind Mikey Neal in 7th. And but every one of those cars that we just mentioned had a shot at the win here at the end.
They did indeed. And, I just want to point out here, the 5 may have got the win, but it was a strategy both of them deployed there to stay out on old tires. And remember, we said at the beginning of this race, the 19 Francois Pelletier is the tire changer for the 18 in the Xfinity Series. So he may know a thing or two about tires and what they can do.
Yeah, well, I guess that is one way to look at it. And that's probably the most logic that we've had here on this broadcast all night long, Charles. So hard to disagree with that.
Well, like you said earlier, every squirrel finds the nut every once in a while. So I'll take my spotlight here for the minute, and we'll just roll with that one for now. But we are under caution on lap 60 right now, so it's just a matter of crossing the line for the 5. No damage to his car, so there's no reason that it shouldn't make it under its own power to the start-finish line. As I'm not sure if Brandon Dorsett has won in this league before, but I know he has not won in this series before.
I would be surprised if he hasn't run in this league. Brandon Dorsett, good driver. I'm pretty sure I've seen him win a few of these things. Maybe I'm wrong, but he's certainly no stranger to running up front there. So if this is his first win, big congratulations, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, we'll definitely confirm if it's his first win overall. We do know, of course, in the this Racecore iRacing Drivers World Racing Series, it is his first win. We'll be talking to him here momentarily. Before we get to the post-race show, real quickly run through your unofficial race results. Jeff, you want to run through our top 10 here tonight, and then I will bring us home.
Absolutely. Your winner tonight, the number 5 car, Brandon Dorsett. In second place with pit strategy, or no pit strategy, Francois Pelletier. In third place, the number 1 car of Chris Brown. In fourth place, the 33 of Josh Culley. In fifth place, the 24 of Brian Bazell. In sixth place, we got the number 8 of Mikey Justified Neal. In seventh place, the number 2 car, Jameer Mohammed. In eighth place, we got the 30 of Mike Rigney. In ninth, the 83 of Alex Huffman. And rounding out your top 10, the 9 of Brian Dorsey.
In 11th place is going to be the 51 of Brandon Young. 12th place, the 101 of David Gainforth. 13th place will be the 55 of Butch Frazier. 14th will be the 99 of Justin Starr. And rounding out your 15th spot here tonight will be the 21 of Dan Butler. 16th, we'll go to the 45 of Brian Jones. 17th, we'll go to the 31 of Scotty Zerk. 18th will be the 64 of Tony Rice. There we go. If we get it right, 19th, we'll go to the 10 of Jason Covington. And 20th, we'll go to the 77 of Justin Spear. 21st, we'll go to the 70 of Sam Crow. 22nd, we'll go to the 50 of Sterling Smith. 23rd, go to the 18 of Ray Black Jr. 24th, we'll go to the 63 of Charles Hoffman. And 25th, we'll go to the 78 of John Van Varellis. That will do it here for your unofficial race results. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back with your post-race show in just a few moments. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, here with the post-race show after an exciting race. Thought we were going caution-free, ended up having a few cautions at the end. Unfortunately, one of them ending the race, as we do not have green-white checkers here on iRacing yet. We're still hopeful it'll come out eventually, but not out yet. And that will bring us to our third place finisher here tonight, the number one. That is Chris Brown. Started 20th, worked your way up to third place. What a run. So first off, Chris, congrats on the third place. And what was this track like? I know it's a 50-50 split. Most people hate it. Some people love it. What's your thoughts on this track as a whole, and how was it treating you here tonight?
I really like this track. I love Pocono. It's a lot of fun to race here, but these cars is I wouldn't say tricky, but they get a little bit tight at the end of the run. The beginning of the run's really good, and then the car starts tightening up.
Well, definitely, it's called the tricky triangle for a reason. You add these older cars here. They're not the newer cars, so aerodynamics, we don't have all of that, but this particular car on this setup, or on this track, can be a little tricky. Makes it for some really good racing here. And I'm not sure if you did qualify. I don't think you did take a qualifying lap. So coming into tonight, did you have a strategy if you didn't qualify to start in the back, or did you just miss qualifying there?
I got an EOL there because I missed the driver check-in at 8 o'clock. But I started 25th. I didn't really have a strategy besides get to the front. Managed to do that. I thought I was going to have a good shot at these guys at the end there, but that caution kind of took that away. But overall, good run.
Oh, definitely a great run here for you, finishing in at third. So before we let you go here, any sponsors you need to thank or anyone you just want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to Racecore and Iracing Drivers World, and also Global Building Contractors.
Oh, definitely. Again, congrats on third place. Finishing in second place, and I believe, if I'm correct, only the second race. That is Francois Peltier finishing there. Led 5 laps, started ninth, finished second. So same question for you here. First off, we know you probably deal with this track in real life. So what are your thoughts on this track? And did it treat you well here tonight as far as beating you up? Obviously, it did treat you well as far as the second place finish.
Yeah, tonight was I had a plan from the beginning. It was all going to be fuel strategy. I had another teammate from Covington Motorsports. We were planning on fuel strategy and making green flag stops. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. I do enjoy the track. Gives you a lot of time to think. Really thankful to be in this series, racing myself and learn how everybody drives. And so far, it's been a wonderful experience.
Well, definitely has been good to see you here. Just overall, obviously, we're glad to have you here. Glad you're having a good time. So looking forward to the rest of this season. I'm not sure exactly what tracks are coming up, but is there a particular track on the schedule that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, the super speedways is what we enjoy the most. Most fun, and anything can happen. And mile and a halves are pretty much all the same in the circuit. It's basically just follow the leader on those. But yeah, the super speedways would be my answer on that one.
Oh, definitely. We look forward to seeing win, and you get that first win. Very close here tonight. Had the lead for a little bit, but the caution, I think, may have got you there, as Brendan was able to get by. But same question, of course, any sponsors on the car you need to thank, or anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Iracing Drivers World, Dan Butler's Design, Global Building Contractors, my sponsor, the Gold Cube. Are the first automated kiosk that buys and sells gold in the world, and also Covington Motorsports for giving me the opportunity to be involved in their team.
Well, definitely glad to have you here, and congrats on that second place finish. And that brings us to our winner here for tonight's race. Also led 5 laps, started second. Well, you didn't move too far up in the field. You only moved 1 spot, but that was the spot to put you in victory lane here tonight. So before we get your thoughts on this track, first off, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is your first win in this series. But is this your first win here in Racecore as a whole?
No, it's the first one over here in the iRacing World K&N Series. I believe I've won a couple other over in the truck and maybe in the Xfinity and Global Building Series.
Well, definitely good to see you back in victory lane. As we probably should know if you've won a race, but we cover so many Racecore races that we just lose track of who all's won and who hasn't. But getting the win here tonight, with this particular car being it's not the toughest car probably to drive, but it's not the easiest either. And then you add that to the tricky triangle here. So overall, how does it feel to be sitting in victory lane with this car track combo?
Just as surprised as you are, actually. I mean, we unloaded here, set at the top of the charts there in practice for a while until Mikey, of course, knocked us off there. We went into qualifying, set a good lap there in qualifying, started P2. Going into the race, I figured it was, conserving tires, and it was going to come down to fuel strategy like most of our races go. So I was going to be a couple laps short. I was hoping for a yellow. I hate it was one of our guys that was in the yellow, but not sure exactly what all happened there. But I was needing one, and from there it was just a crapshoot of who could survive the yellows there at the end. So.
Well, definitely was. Again, all the yellows coming out in the last probably 20 laps of the race. They do say cautions breed cautions, but those cautions probably helped those tires out a little bit, as everyone out there had some fairly old tires. But in the end, it was you that came away victorious. You didn't lead the most laps, but again, it's not about how many you lead, it's which one you lead, and you led the last one, and that's what mattered. So congrats on that. And before we let you go, of course, same question as always. Do you have any sponsors on that car? And, of course, any shout-outs you want to give for anyone out there watching?
Just want to thank Global Building Contractors, Iracing Drivers Royal for putting on the series. Dan Butler in designs. He produces some cool paints and stuff. Racecore, drivers as a whole, is a pretty great lead to run with. If you ain't a part of it, you're missing out. And coming to motorsports, we put a lot of time in our racing, and tonight I believe it showed. We finished 1-2. Another guy finished inside the top 5. A couple of our drivers had some bad luck there with the way the cautions fell, and other than that, that's about all I got.
Well, definitely. Congrats on the win once again. And before we sign off here for tonight, we want to thank all of the sponsors as well here for the race, and of course on the broadcast side of things. So a big shout out goes to, of course, Global Building Contractors, Leo's Coney Island out of Rochester Hills, Dan Butler Designs, and of course your presenting sponsor here for this series, that is Iracing Drivers World. And on the broadcast side of things, big shout out to all of our sponsors here for 2018, of course including Wool's Beard Co. Beard Balm, Sim Speed Shop, Northwest Racing Series, Ohio IndyCar League, and iBog. Make sure you check out all of these great partners and sponsors at their websites and Facebook pages. Let them know you heard about it here on Virtual Racing Network. That will do it, though, for tonight's broadcast. We will see you tomorrow night at Sonoma Raceway with the Northwest Xfinity Series. We'll see. We are still hard at work on those new overlays. We are hoping to debut them very soon, so stay tuned for that, and we will definitely be getting those out as quickly as we can, so stay safe. We'll see you at the next broadcast.